There's some different models out there. Could you maybe debunk some myths, perhaps, in terms of, hey, we often hear that behavior change works like this, but that's actually kind of incomplete or even misleading.
Yeah. About 10 years ago, kind of in a moment of frustration. The frustration was we were publishing these papers from my lab and people were emailing me and said, just give me a checklist. And I was like, no, our papers are 8 pages. They're short. But after I got enough of those, I sat down and said, okay, I'm going to make a top 10 list, the top 10 mistakes in behavior change. So I cranked it out. I ran it by my lab members. We made some revisions. We shipped it. We shipped it on, I think, SlideShare, it's a set of slides. It turns out, Pete, sadly enough, that is the most widely accessed and used creation from my lab ever. So this thing that I did in a moment of frustration, the top 10 mistakes, turns out to be the thing that well over 1 million people I have seen, and they reference it and people replicate it and so on. One of the top mistakes, I won't go through all 10. You can just find it online if you're interested. Type in top 10 mistakes, behavior change. One of the top mistakes is to just think of the aspiration like, oh, I want to lose weight, or I want to have more energy, I want to sleep better, and then make yourself feel guilty about not reaching the aspiration. So there's 2 mistakes bundled. I mean, that's a fairly common thing where people just have this vague thing in their mind they want to achieve, and they think they can get there somehow magically or just by making themselves feel bad. And that's wrong, or that's not optimal anyway, in at least 2 ways. Number one, you can't design directly for an aspiration like have more energy or get more sleep. You've got to break that down into specific behaviors. So you need to focus on behaviors that will take you to the aspiration. And then the other thing is usually the most reliable way to get a behavior to happen isn't about trying to motivate yourself, and certainly not through guilt, but it's by making the behavior easier to do. So really what you want to do is figure out what behavior is going to take you to that aspiration, and then how do you make it easy to do so you don't have to rely on motivation very much.
And you mentioned that motivation is kind of pretty inconsistent or fickle, day to day.
Yeah, it's pretty slippery. Another model out there has to do with, are you ready to change? And for decades, people have tried to that has been perpetuated. And behavior design doesn't look at that question at all. It starts with the premise that everybody is ready to change in some way. You just have to figure out what way they want to change right now. So you don't have to wait around for somebody to be ready to change. Instead, you have to figure out what's their aspiration and what specific behavior are they willing to do right now to take them to that aspiration.